The summer of 1944 witnessed a seismic shift on the Eastern Front. While the world's attention was largely focused on the Normandy landings, the Soviet Union launched Operation Bagration, a massive offensive against the German Army Group Center in Belarus, Poland, and the Baltic republics. This operation, named after a Georgian prince who fought against Napoleon, remains remarkably under-recognized compared to D-Day, despite its scale and strategic significance. Operation Bagration was a complex and meticulously planned undertaking. It began on June 19, 1944, with Red Army partisan units disrupting German supply lines behind enemy lines. 2 days later, massive Soviet air attacks pounded German positions, softening their defenses. Finally, on June 23rd, under the cover of darkness, the Red Army surged forward. The Soviet advance caught the Germans completely by surprise. The element of surprise, achieved through maskirovka, or deception, proved highly effective. The Red Army employed deep penetrating spearheads, isolating German units and exploiting their inflexible defensive posture. This rigidity stemmed from a direct order from Hitler, who, on March 8, 1944, mandated the establishment of feste Plätze, or fortified places, envisioning them as impregnable fortresses. This order proved disastrous. German commanders, recognizing the folly of such rigid tactics, pleaded for flexibility, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. Hitler's mistrust of his generals and his insistence on micromanaging the war effort ultimately hampered the Wehrmacht's ability to respond effectively. This tactical inflexibility, coupled with the sheer scale and momentum of the Soviet attack, sealed the fate of Army Group Center. The consequences were catastrophic. The Fourth Army was annihilated, and the 3rd Panzer and 9th Armies were severely mauled. By the operation's end, vast territories of the Western Soviet Union had been liberated, and the Red Army had gained footholds in Romania and Poland. German losses were staggering. Over 500,000 men were killed or wounded, a toll exceeding even that of the horrific Battle of Verdun in 1916. 350,000 were killed in action, and a further 160,000 prisoners perished during their transport to Soviet prison camps. 57,000 captured German soldiers were then paraded through the streets of Moscow, a stark symbol of Soviet victory and German defeat. The scale of the Soviet offensive was immense. Over 2 million Soviet troops participated, supported by nearly 11,000 artillery pieces, thousands of rocket launchers and aircraft, and over 1 million tons of ammunition and supplies. Operation Bagration stands as arguably the most successful military operation of the entire war, breaking the backbone of the Wehrmacht and significantly hastening the downfall of the Third Reich. For the 57 Zuzulan German prisoners paraded through Moscow, the journey marked not only the end of their military service, but for the vast majority, the end of their lives. The images we are considering offer a glimpse into a lesser-known chapter of World War II. The Parade of 57 Zuzulan German prisoners of war through the streets of Moscow in July 1944 stands as a powerful testament to the scale and ferocity of the Eastern Front. It was a calculated display of Soviet strength and a stark reminder of the devastating losses inflicted upon the Wehrmacht during Operation Bagration. For the Soviet people, who had endured years of brutal occupation and unimaginable hardship, the parade provided a moment of catharsis, a tangible symbol of their resilience and the turning tide of the war. The sight of thousands of captured German soldiers marching through their capital city, once seemingly invincible, resonated deeply. It was a moment of national pride, a public affirmation of the sacrifices made and the victories achieved. However, the parade also served a broader strategic purpose. It was a message to the Allied powers in the West, a demonstration of the Soviet Union's growing military might and its crucial role in defeating Nazi Germany. The sheer number of prisoners underscored the magnitude of the Soviet contribution to the war effort, a contribution often overshadowed by events on the Western Front. The fate of these prisoners after the parade varied. High-ranking officers were segregated and sent to specialized camps. Many ordinary soldiers, however, faced a different destiny. They were dispersed across the Soviet Union, often employed in reconstruction efforts, rebuilding the very cities and infrastructure they had helped destroy during the invasion. The irony of this situation is palpable. Soldiers who had once envisioned conquering Soviet territory now found themselves contributing to its restoration. The harsh reality is that the vast majority of these prisoners never returned to Germany. Many perished in captivity due to harsh conditions, disease, and malnutrition. The long journey home, for those who survived, was often fraught with peril and uncertainty. This parade, while a moment of triumph for the Soviet Union, represents a tragic chapter in the lives of tens of thousands of German soldiers, a stark reminder of the human cost of war. It serves as a powerful symbol of victory and defeat, resilience and loss, and the complex and often brutal realities of the Eastern Front. Operation Bagration, launched in the summer of 1944, remains a pivotal yet often overlooked turning point in World War II. While the Normandy landings dominated headlines in the West, the scale and impact of the Soviet offensive in the East were equally profound. It shattered the myth of Wehrmacht invincibility and exposed the fatal flaws in Hitler's strategic thinking. The operation's success stemmed from a combination of meticulous planning, strategic deception, and the sheer determination of the Red Army. The Soviets skillfully exploited Hitler's rigid defensive strategy, turning his Feste Plätze into isolated pockets of resistance, easily bypassed and overwhelmed. The Red Army's deep battle doctrine, honed through years of brutal conflict, allowed them to penetrate deep into German lines, disrupting their logistics and sowing chaos in their ranks. The staggering losses suffered by Army Group Center, over 500,000 men killed or wounded, crippled the German war effort on the Eastern Front. The destruction of the Fourth Army and the severe weakening of the 3rd Panzer and 9th Armies left a gaping hole in the German defenses, paving the way for the Red Army's continued advance westward. This victory not only liberated vast swathes of Soviet territory, but also shifted the balance of power in the region decisively. The parade of 57,000 German prisoners through Moscow was more than just a symbolic display of Soviet might. It was a stark illustration of the consequences of Hitler's miscalculations and the devastating human cost of war. The images of these captured soldiers, many of whom would never see their homes again, served as a powerful reminder of the brutality and futility of the conflict. Beyond the immediate military implications, Operation Bagration had far-reaching political consequences. It solidified the Soviet Union's position as a major player on the world stage, showcasing its military prowess and its determination to play a leading role in shaping the post-war order. The operation also had a profound impact on the lives of millions of people in Eastern Europe, marking the beginning of their liberation from Nazi occupation, but also ushering in a new era of Soviet influence. The echoes of Operation Bagration and its aftermath continue to resonate in the region to this day.